This week, the name of the game is naming names. There's an old Chinese proverb that says the beginning of wisdom is to call things by their right name. So let's get off on the right foot by naming my guests. A household name, Ramesh Ranganathan. A rose by any other name, Carrie Lloyd. To conjure with, Phil Jupiters. An old what's-his-name, Alan Davis. So this week, their buzzers are their porn names, OK? So that's... if you've not played that game, it's the first pet's name and mother's maiden name. So Phil goes...
I, the Schroeder Swan.
It's quite sexy, Dan. Very sexy.
How much you paid that bloke?
Yep.
I'd have done that for nothing. And more convincingly,
Well,
that sounded like you found an asthmatic tramp on the South Coast.
Carriad goes...
Hello, I'm Snuffy. Snuffy Story.
You can now access my bank account.
That's a very specific kind of porn, right there.
Ramesh goes...
Oh, hello, it's Goldie Silverhatchet.
Why have I been given that
It's
one?
quite camp, And Alan goes...
Hey up, it's Nobby Styles.
Nobby Styles is a very good porn name.
It's very farming specific, isn't it?
Not very good with my hands, but...
No. Now, here is my first very simple question. Who is offended by what?
Oh, God, everybody by everything.
Yes, well, there is that.
Anybody who reads a tweet and doesn't understand it immediately is offended by it.
Yeah. Do you tweet?
I do tweet, yeah,
Right.
I do. But I'm often scared to tweet about anything that's, you know, controversial.
So what do you do? Just the colour beige or just...
Basically...
just like emojis and, like, GIFs of Japanese girls cutting hairs with crab hands.
Well, that's... the problem with Twitter is that even if you choose something like that you think is really innocent and can't be offensive, it can be. You know, you tweet about porridge and then somebody goes, well, actually, I had a porridge-related incident many years ago and actually I find it highly offensive and I can't believe you'd even not bother to consider the feelings of people that had Ready Brek-related incidents in their childhood.
So then, at 3 bears, is that a sort of...
Yeah.
It's not Twitter-related, so it's more to do with who?
Who is offended by what?
Yes.
Doctor, offended by Daleks.
Doctor is the right area, but not Doctor Who.
Oh.
It is to do with doctors.
Oh, generally medical practitioners?
It is a large organisation, as if we think of it as an acronym.
World
Health Organisation.
World Health Organisation, absolutely right. They are worried that scientists are naming diseases that offend people, and that, indeed, we've done this too much in the past. So, for example, Spanish flu would be a good example. It affects people in Spain, possibly, and tourism. People might think if you go to Spain, you'll get Spanish flu. Legionnaire's disease is not a legionnaire in the world not been distressed by the thought.
Oh, I know one. Essex wind. awful, isn't it, Phil? Terrible. It blows right up your Thames corridor.
There's Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, which I imagine... I don't know who that would offend. People call Creutzfeldt. Jakob Creutzfeldt, I would imagine. Very offensive. Swine flu, apparently. Very offensive to people who work with, I don't know, pigs.
Mrs. Swine.
Mrs. Swine.
Swine is upset about it.
Kind of the idea is you're supposed to minimise unnecessary distress. So, for example, if you called something sudden death syndrome, that's just too frightening.
Hold on a sec. If you're about to die imminently, you can't just say something cuddly so they're not offended. Do you know what I mean? If they're going to die in the next 20 minutes, you can't just go... You just got the chills.
Yeah.
Just because you don't want them to be upset.
No, but here's the thing. So doctors have certain acronyms, and I love these. There's SBI, which is something bad inside, and it means the doctor knows there's something wrong, not entirely sure what it is. SVBI, something very bad inside. Again, don't know what it is, but it'll definitely kill you. And there's loads for fat people. There's CBT, which is chronic biscuit toxicity. The other best one for fat people is BW. What? Beached whale. Oh. And my favourite acronym, PRATFO. Patient reassured and told to F off. Used to be loads of occupational diseases, certain diseases that were entirely...
Minus cough.
Minus cough.
Minus lung.
Jogger's nipple.
Jogger's nipple, yes. And the very first one ever was chimney sweep's scrotum.
What?
Yeah, chimney sweep's scrotum.
What was he? Well, he should put the fire out.
What are you doing up there?
Bagpipers fungus.
Bagpipers fungus is a terrible thing. It's apparently if you don't clean the bagpipes, you can get a sort of horrible microbe.
Imagine getting a fungus from an instrument that makes that noise.
Sounds like it's trying to kill you anyway, doesn't it?
I've seen all these things listed outside a flat in Amsterdam.
Is chimney sweep scrotum because once they're up there and if you know, they poke the sweep up. I'm just guessing.
Poor Dick Van Dyke. Oh, Mary Poppins, my scrotum's playing me up something wrong. Stepping time!
That's the subplot they never managed.
The thing, the weird...
A spoonful of...
That's why they're all doing that. That's why they're all doing that.
Do you think he was in too much pain to do the accent properly? So, anyway, can you tell me what this bird's name is?
Is it a wagtail?
It is not a wag... But what I really want is I want its actual name.
Is it Philip, Jeremy, Mabel?
Well, to assist you, you have some bird whistles beside you. Yeah. See if you can come up with the actual name. Oh, that's better than mine. Rubbish.
Oh, here we go. Said Tiny Clanger.
Oh, you've got lots of different ones. The famous calling sound of a goose with asthma.
What are you doing?
I just put his pot.
Is that a duck call?
Supposed to be a
duck call.
Sounds like a...
Try the little end.
Hang on! Well, it could be any one of these tunes. Here's the extraordinary thing. This bird is called, and this is such a lovely name, it's called a superb fairy wren. Isn't that the sweetest thing? And every single nest has a family name, so it's like it has a surname. And the surname is given to the mother when the kids are all in the eggs. And what she does is she lays the eggs, and then she waits for 9 days, and then she sits by the eggs and she starts singing a unique tune. So it might be better than that.
What beautiful song does she sing, Sam?
tune every 4 minutes, over and over, for a week. Now, I imagine this drives the chicks in the eggs completely
My daughter
balmy.
does that with Let It Go.
Oh, sorry, oh, I hate that song. I can't be doing with it.
I didn't used to, but holy smoke, it's a test.
But anyway, what happens is the chicks in the egg, they actually hear it and they commit it to memory, and Mum and Dad and eggs, they all know the tune. It's a unique tune.
Waterloo.
I don't think there are lyrics. So what happens is she goes away and gets food. When she returns to the nest, she sings this particular tune that they all know, and they have to sing it back to her, and that way she can be absolutely sure there isn't a cuckoo in the nest. Oh. So they have, as it were, a surname just for that nest.
That is amazing.
That really is amazing.
But if they were people...
Yeah.
How annoying would they be to have
Yeah.
around for dinner?
Unbelievably irritating.
Andrew, should we do our song? No, we all know this song. We've sung it from when we were children. Let's do it, shall we?
They're not even real, I'm going to leave.
I knew a family that did that. They had a whistle.
Right.
And in the supermarket, the mum would do a certain whistle, and then the kid would whistle back.
No, darling, that's the Von Trapps. That's a film.
They had a whistle in the supermarket in case they got lost.
No, my mum would summon me home by whistling.
Seriously?
Yeah, and she taught me how to do it with the 2 fingers there.
Wow.
That is a whistle.
Now, I could hear that 3 miles away. So, but me and my brother would be playing with mates, and we'd be out all day, and then at tea time, my mum would go out the back door and go... And then we would...
That is a seriously good whistle.
We would come back...
One time, do you remember we were in Manchester?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I had to get a train.
Yeah.
And the taxi went by, and I went, Daddy! Like that, and he ignored me, and it went about 50 yards, and he did that, and it braked. And he didn't even turn and came back.
Was the taxi driver your mum?
Here's the thing about the birds, which is extraordinary. It isn't just birds that do this. Horses also do this. They have a signature whinny. Wow. Serious.
Picture budget being slashed.
Yeah. That's from horses and orthodontistry.
I'm so allergic to horses that I just sneezed at the sight of that picture.
I don't think it's an allergy. That photo is terrifying.
Okay.
It's going, where are my eyes? Where are my eyes? The crows have got my eyes!
That's the mum horse going, where are you?
Oh, kids, bring my eyes back!
That overbite reminds me of my games teacher at school. So here's the thing. Horses have signature whinnies. So say, for example, that you have a horse called, shall we call it Alan, in a stall, and another horse called Shergar walks by and goes out of sight behind a barrier. Alan notices that and goes, carries on, you're being Alan the horse, goes back to eating. If, when Shergar is behind the barrier, scientists play his identifying whinny, Alan won't really pay any attention. If they play the identifying whinny of a different horse, Alan gets really freaked out because he knows that the horse he saw walk past wasn't the one that he's just heard. And this is on a list of things scientists can be asked to do. Now, who sold seashells on the seashore?
Is it somebody who's got no idea about the laws of sort of supply and demand?
Interestingly, there were plenty of seashells and lots of people who wanted to buy them. So who...
The answer is she, isn't it?
Well, it is in the rhyme. Can you do the rhyme? Do you know the rhyme?
She's... No, I can't, because I've got a lisp.
It's a fantastically mean thing to do to you.
Make him do it, Sandy.
Yeah,
Make him do it.
She sells seashells on the seashore. Mm-hmm. And then she goes home again. Don't know the second
The
bit.
shells she sells are seashells, I'm sure, for if she sells seashells on the seashore, then I'm sure she sells seashore shells, is the full rhyme. Did anybody... Thank you very much. Thank you, yes.
That is the first time I've heard a typical British reaction to a tongue twister. And it is... That's what we think of articulate people. I didn't know we had that in our makeup.
So, she, but who who was she, the woman who sold seashells?
Was she a Cockney woman who some white Victorian man made up a nice rhyme about, but actually she was probably a prostitute, died of syphilis?
That turned Dickens, really.
I wonder why they didn't include that bit in the rhyme.
I mean, she got syphilis.
What a dark place your head is.
Yeah.
It was an actual woman. She worked Lyme Regis.
It was the Dorset lady.
Killer! Look at the weapon!
There she is.
Found the first dinosaur in the UK, didn't she? The first whole...
She was the inspiration for the tongue twister. She's a Victorian fossil hunter called Mary Anning.
Oh,
Mary Anning.
Fossil hunter. She's all over the Natural History Museum.
Yeah, all over the Natural History Museum, and she's an incredible woman. She was very brave, because actually it's very dangerous. That is a picture of her with her dog, Trey.
She's about to kill it and put it in that bag.
Well, I can't tell if the dog is already...
It's a mega fossil! Finish your painting, please, before the dog wakes up.
I don't know if the picture shows the dog already dead. It died in a landslide, and she was very fond of it.
A landslide caused by...
Well, it is, I don't know if you...
She found huge fossils.
She is really an extraordinary woman, and her findings absolutely made important changes in scientific thinking, because up until the 1820s, lots of people didn't believe extinctions could happen, because it would imply that God's creations were less than perfect. But she, in fact, discovered the very first ichthyosaur skeleton, correctly identified, the first two plesiosaur skeletons, and the first pterosaur skeleton outside Germany. She also found, I'm going to give you some examples, she found these, and she's the very first person who worked out what they are. So I'm going to pass you one there for you to share. Do you know what that is?
Oh,
£9.50 in a Cornwall gift shop.
Is this dinosaur shit?
It is. It is absolutely that. People first thought...
OK, now I feel weird.
Well, these have been tumbled to prove you can, in fact, polish a turd, but... People thought they were basals, so stomach stones, something from the inside of the stomach, but what she did was she cracked one open and she discovered... It's science. She discovered fish scales and teeth, and she's the person who realised that, in fact, coprolites, which is the correct term for them, is, in fact, dinosaur poo. Is that extraordinary, to have a dinosaur's bit of poo in your hand? I think it's incredible.
I feel a bit sorry for her that, you know, she's done all these amazing things, and then when they decide to come up with a rhyme about her... They made up one about how she used to knock out seashells.
Well, here's the thing, that's how she made a living, because she was very poor. Her father was a cabinet maker, he died when she was 11, and so she had to make a living. And actually, people selling fossils has been a big thing on the Lyme Regis coast.
She did start finding them when she was 12 or 13, didn't she?
Yeah, she could sell them to tourists. It was one of the very first. So your £9.50 for a coprolite is probably about right. She really sort of pains me slightly, because she sold things to men who then wrote scientific articles about them, and she didn't get the credit. She wasn't allowed to join, for example, the Geological Society of London. They didn't admit women until 1904. She didn't get full credit until 163 years after her death. The Royal Society included Anning in a list of the 10 British women who have most influenced the history of science.
But was she not allowed to join the society because she was a woman or because she killed that dog?
I think the dog didn't help, if I'm honest with you. Right, time for a look in Mother Toxwig's bumper book of neological novelties, I think. Here are some new names for things, but can you tell me what any of them are?
Adorkable.
Adorkable, do you know what it is?
Is that when somebody's, like, really into comic books, but it's quite cute?
It's somebody...
Manic Pixie Dream Girl syndrome.
Adorably dorkish, so socially inept, but charming with it.
Are these are new words that have recently... What's happening here?
They're what's known as neologisms, so they are new terms that have entered the language.
Oh,
so
I see.
Al desco is having your lunch.
Having your lunch at your desk.
A belfie, I can't remember what a belfie is. It's something
belfie is where you take a selfie, but you have a bell.
No, it is a selfie, but what of? What part of you is a belfie?
Oh, my God.
Yes.
Really?
Your bell end.
It's...
I thought that was a dick pic.
It's your bottom.
Oh, your bottom?
Yes, it's a picture
What's
of your...
a bumfie?
A bumfie.
How's Belfie bum?
I didn't write them. I'm just telling you. These are all examples that have been included in the OED in recent
OED have got to
years.
stop adding now. Stop adding.
It's like the OED has been taken over by a 14-year-old boy who's bored.
I like that one, stoorsuker.
Is that Scottish? Scottish?
Yes, it's to do with sucking. It's to do with sucking.
Oh, it's
really?
it's
Is it?
something
I
nasty
think I'll
again.
leave the quiz now.
No, it's fine. It's a Scottish neologism for a vacuum cleaner. It's a stair sucker. A stoorsucker.
What's honkin' bonkers?
Honkin' bonkers, it just means amazing.
Is that the one you were thinking? That's the one I might take from you.
Yeah. What am I just going to throw into casual conversation?
I couldn't think about any of these words. If I hear someone using them, I could beat them to death with the OED, which is quite a hefty book.
Wabstead is another Scottish one for website.
What's cold press?
Cold press is a Scottish neologism for a fridge.
These are just Scottish words.
Does anybody know where the word quiz comes from? Because we're doing a kind of quiz.
I feel like I do know, but I can't remember.
Do we get a point for that?
Yeah, Alan can have a point for that. I'm fine with that. Yeah, because it's a very
When you
honest thing.
say it, I'm going to go... What?
Okay. We don't really know. So it used to mean a sort of eccentric person. How it has come to mean asking people questions for points, we don't really know. There's a story that Richard Daly, who was a theatre proprietor in Dublin in 1791, made a bet that within 48 hours he could get a word into common parlance. And it distributed the word quiz to be put up on walls all over Dublin, and it became part of the language.
Really? But, when they say the police are quizzing the suspect, that's wrong, isn't it?
No, that's from inquisitive. And Inquisition. So that's a
Good.
separate...
You've got it. You're in the right chair. I had a little cold feeling then.
Channeling. Right, OK. A new word is created in English every 98 minutes or so. Now, would you rather be in a non-routine operation or a mass deposition event?
Well, I don't like the sound of a non-routine operation.
I prefer a non-routine operation.
Do you?
Well, I just think because if it's routine...
Better story.
Well, if it's routine, the person's more likely to be a bit blasé about it, you know, if you've done it loads of times. Where if it's non-routine, I probably should stay awake while I'm doing this. You know,
if it's non-routine, they're going to have the book open and...
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, like they're doing it for the first time.
I imagine it being like a chef.
If it's routine, just for a game, I'm going to do it with my blindfold on.
I can tell you that the non-routine operation is a phrase used by Trans-Florida Airlines.
OK.
Crash landing?
It is. It is their word for a plane crash. Notice to passengers, in case of a...
In the lead.
In case of a non-routine operation, we'd like you to be familiar with the location of the airplane.
I mean, you'd hope they'd call that non-routine, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
What a damning indictment of the airline if they don't, yeah.
Can I show you my favourite airport sign? Because you know you'd never get proper information. I think this is absolutely fantastic. There we go. Kind of says everything, doesn't it? It's fair enough.
It's honest,
It's absolutely fine. And the other thing is, a mass deposition event is, in fact, a huge pile of poo. In fact, it's a rather specific pile of poo. It's a euphemistic term given by archaeologists to the discovery of a thick layer of horse dung at a site called the Col de la Traversette, and it's believed to be associated with Hannibal's crossing of the Alps into Italy in 218 BC. I love this. The team analysing the poo, OK, are hoping to find signs of elephant droppings. Here's a quote from one of the team. There's even the possibility of finding an elephant tapeworm egg. This would really be the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And so we reach that round that dare not speak its name. Fingers on buzzers, please, for general ignorance. Name the cause of the first mass extinction.
Oh, now, this is a trick one, because you're trying to get us to do the dinosaur one, but there was one before that, wasn't there?
After 14 years, he understands the format.
Is it ice?
It is not ice.
Baby.
No.
Very good.
They had a problem, but they didn't solve it as a massive extinction.
It's sea anemone greed and really the invention of the mouth. So what happens is...
so many problems come when we invent the mouth.
Yeah. These are Ediacarans, and Ediacarans are the very first complex life forms on Earth, and they hung around on the sea floor for about 37 million years. They didn't have a mouth, they didn't have an anus, they just lived through osmosis.
They got along fine.
They're just fine. And then what happens is the Cambrian explosion, so that's, give or take a Tuesday, about 542 million years ago, you suddenly get life forms suddenly rocketing because there's more oxygen around, and you get sea anemone-like creatures. They have a mouth, and do you know what they did? They ate them. They're absolutely right. They ate the lot of them.
And the terrible, tragic thing was that they couldn't tell each other what was happening.
Oh, no. Don't! That's so sad.
Yeah. No mouth.
Yeah.
Just lying there being eaten and not being able to...
Yeah.
Or warn each other.
I've had boyfriends like that, and I understand how they feel. Nothing you can do. Just let them get on with it.
It's been a learning experience being with you, Karen.
That's why I'm a doggerel.
Thought for a moment you meant you'd have boyfriends with no mouth or anus.
It felt like that, Alan.
They can't cry for help.
No. Can't speak.
Now, name a self-confessed Nazi.
All those guys.
But they didn't call themselves Nazis.
Absolutely
did they?
right. There
Churchill
are none.
called
There are
them.
none because they didn't call themselves Nazis. You are just doing it brilliantly. Yeah. Absolutely right.
All this time you've been intimidated.
No.
To say what you're not doing. You can just speak. It's lovely, Alan.
No, indeed. And
I'll throw him off his game.
Although I like that Churchill called them Nazis.
Nazis,
Nazis.
yeah.
And he referred to the Gestapo as the Gestapo. Very good. You're absolutely right. No self-respecting Nazi ever called themselves a Nazi. It was the German exiles who called them that. So our panellists emerge at the scores, but let's see who has made a name for themselves and who has a black mark next to theirs. In fourth place, with a magnificent -2, it is Phil. In third place, with 4 points, it's Ramesh. OK, I don't know if you're going to be able to guess who wins if I tell you who's in second place with 5 points. It's Carrier. For me to thank Carrier.
Unbearable.
I shall bear with it. It only remains for me to thank Carriad, Phil, Ramesh and Alan. And finally, let me leave you with this Neolithic newspaper nugget from the Johannesburg Star. The Sunday morning quiet of the city centre was shattered when a man went berserk in Plain Street. He smashed about 4,000 rands worth of shop windows before being shot in the thigh by a passing churchgoer. Good night.